This is an investigation into the strange disappearance of 26-year-old Prisma Reyes. Prisma disappeared on April 17, 2019, from the car park at the Olympus on Ross Apartments in Dallas, Texas, where her ex-boyfriend Ryan lived. Prisma was trying to rekindle her relationship with Ryan. However, she was also involved with a married man. A month before she went missing, Prisma expressed concern to a friend that she was being stalked. The day of her disappearance, Prisma was displaying erratic, uncharacteristic behaviour. She got into multiple altercations, which included a road rage incident. CCTV footage shows Prisma going into the parking garage of Ryan's apartment building, where she was seen to be unstable and confused. According to her stepfather Dan, he suspects Prisma was drugged, as her behaviour on the day of her disappearance was completely out of character. Hispanic women, similar to Prisma's description, were reported missing in the Dallas area around the same time of her disappearance. Was Prisma drugged and kidnapped, or did she have an altercation with the wrong person? What happened to Prisma Reyes? Prisma is the single mother of Dominic, who was 6 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was born in Veracruz, Mexico, and moved to Dallas, Texas when she was 5 years old, after her mother Lilia married her stepfather Dan Fuchs. Prisma's biological father died when she was a baby, and Prisma was fortunate enough to have Dan take on the father figure role. Prisma was a bright young woman and received a scholarship to a maths and science magnate school, graduating early. She joined the National Guard and began working as a paralegal. A few weeks prior to her disappearance, Prisma started working as a receptionist at a car dealership and also worked as an exotic dancer on the weekends to earn extra money to support her son. Prisma's son Dominic meant the world to her, and according to family and friends, she would never have left him voluntarily. 9 a.m. Prisma parks at 123 Tex Auto car park, where she worked as a receptionist. She gets into an altercation with fellow employees about a car space. The altercation upset Prisma greatly, and she had trouble focusing on her work that morning. 11:06 a.m. Prisma received a call from her son's school. There didn't appear to be anything wrong as she remained at work. 12:05 p.m. Prisma received a call from Ryan in which she agreed to meet him at the E-Bar. Ryan lives close to the E-Bar and was there about an hour before Prisma. He used the alias Matt when he made the booking and was wearing sunglasses and a hat inside the restaurant, which was a little odd. 1 p.m. Prisma leaves work and drives to E-Bar. 1:12 p.m. Prisma called Ryan on her way to E-Bar. 1:28 p.m. Prisma arrives at the E-Bar and receives call from an unknown number. Ryan became jealous and suspicious that she was speaking to another man. 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. An altercation occurs between Ryan and Prisma. Ryan ends up leaving the restaurant. Apparently, Prisma and Ryan had been trying to rekindle their relationship. Ryan said to police that Prisma became upset because he was still seeing other women. However, Prisma's family have said that Ryan became jealous when Prisma received the phone call at 1:28 p.m. 2:57 p.m. Prisma made a call to a law office in Colorado. 4:05 p.m. Prisma stepped outside the restaurant to call her babysitter. She was on the phone for 52 minutes and vented about her job and what had happened to her that day. 4:57 p.m. Prisma went back inside the restaurant and had an altercation with bar staff after they refused to continue serving her alcohol. 5 p.m. Prisma leaves the E-Bar and drives towards her home in Mesquite. 5:05 p.m. Prisma receives a call from an unknown number. 5:06 p.m. Prisma then gets into a road rage incident where she brandishes her gun at 3 women in the car. 5:13 p.m. to 5:47 p.m. While driving to Mesquite, Prisma changes direction several times and ends up driving towards Dallas, to the Olympus of Ross Apartments where Ryan lives. Prisma calls her friend Juan at 5:25 p.m. She then called Ryan at 5:27 p.m. 5:47 p.m. Prisma arrives at Ryan's apartment building. She didn't know Ryan's apartment number and didn't have access to the building, Ryan was not home when she arrived. Police would later state that Ryan left several minutes or so before Prisma arrived. Prisma ran into the parking garage following one of the residents. 5:47 p.m. to 6 p.m. Prisma gets into the elevator a couple of times and walks around the garage, seemingly disoriented and confused. She made 4 calls to Ryan that went unanswered. She also made calls to her friend Chris, who she mistakenly took for Ryan, asking him what apartment he was in. She had also made calls to other friends, Jorge and Alfredo. Chris said that her behavior was different from that of being drunk. She told him that she was confused and needed help. Chris was interstate but told her to ping him her location and he would try to help her. Unfortunately, Prisma couldn't figure out how to do this. Just before she disappeared, Prisma was seen by a resident at the complex, waiting beside a silver sedan with the trunk popped open. Prisma asked the resident who owned the car, and the resident didn't know.
The last time we have a person physically seen her is inside the parking garage on one of the upper floors. We have witnesses from the parking garage that saw her standing on one of the upper floors, standing crying. This particular witness saw her standing next to a vehicle that had the trunk open. Prisma had spoken to this particular witness and asked if she knew whose car this was. The witness told her she did not. And when this particular witness attempted to, hold the door open for her, Prisma did not follow her through into the breezeway.
This is the CCTV footage of Prisma just before she disappeared. She's on the phone and appears to be distressed. Any attempt to contact Prisma after 6 p.m. that day went unanswered. The last call that Prisma made was to Ryan at 6 p.m., and he did not pick up. This is the last known sighting of Prisma. 9:30 p.m. Prisma's babysitter Maria calls 911 to report Prisma missing after she failed to pick up her son. Police file a missing persons report. Police receive a complaint from one of the residents at the Olympus on Ross Apartments about Prisma's car blocking the alleyway. Police arrive at the building and commence the search. 30 to 40 detectives were involved in the search for Prisma, and cadaver dogs were used to search the apartment complex where she was last seen. There was no trace of Prisma aside from her scent being in the lift and in the areas where the CCTV footage last saw her. In 2016, Prisma began dating Ryan, and they broke up after she reported a domestic abuse incident, in which she sustained multiple bruises. Prisma ended up dropping the charges regarding the incident. Prisma and Ryan had been attempting to rekindle their relationship for a couple of months before Prisma went missing. This was despite the fact that Prisma appeared to be involved with another man, and Ryan was dating other women. Prisma bought a gun about a month before she disappeared, as she felt she was being stalked. She had a co-worker pick her up several times at her job as a dancer because of this fear. A month before she disappeared, someone had slashed her car tires and left a note on the windshield saying,
"He has married you, bitch."
The car belonged to Alfredo, the married man that Prisma was having an affair with. It's likely that the note was from the wife of Alfredo and that she may have been the person stalking Prisma. However, this has never been confirmed by police. There was an incident at one of the clubs where Prisma worked. She was attempting to purchase an illicit substance on behalf of a male friend she was with at the time. The transaction didn't occur because the club was closing and the man was kicked out. Prisma stayed inside while the man was heard yelling outside to be let back in. It is not clear who this man was and whether Prisma continued contact with him. The most obvious suspect in Prisma's disappearance is her ex-boyfriend Ryan. He was one of the last people to have seen her and had a history of violence against Prisma. According to police, Ryan has a rock-solid alibi. He left his apartment several minutes before Prisma arrived and was located 10 minutes away in another suburb, with 3 other people during the time that Prisma disappeared. There are receipts and witness accounts along with digital records to confirm Ryan's story. Prisma broke up with her son's father, Arturo, 6 months into her pregnancy, in which they got into a fight and Arturo kicked her out of the apartment. Since then, Arturo was not part of Prisma's life, and despite claims by Prisma's family that he was a deadbeat dad that did not pay child support, Arturo claims to have paid $60,000 to support his son. He has also been helpful with the investigation into Prisma's disappearance and was confirmed to have been interstate when Prisma went missing. Prisma had worked as a paralegal at different law offices, and it is unknown whether she was fired or whether she quit. She began working as a receptionist at a car dealership a few weeks before her disappearance, while also working as an exotic dancer on the weekends to make ends meet. Why did she give up being a paralegal? Was she being harassed by a co-worker or client? Or was she exposed to sensitive information that compromised her safety? She told a friend that she felt she was being stalked and had him pick her up several times after her shifts when working at the club. Was she being stalked by someone from her legal work or from her job as an exotic dancer? There is little known about Alfredo, who had a possible motive to kidnap Prisma. Alfredo may have discovered that Prisma was trying to reunite with Ryan during their affair. He may have been angry that Prisma was cheating on him while she was driving a car that he had given her. Another suspect is Alfredo's wife, who had a strong motive to cause harm to Prisma because she was sleeping with her husband. It is unclear whether Alfredo and his wife have been ruled out as suspects. Prisma got into several altercations on the day she went missing. It is possible that one of the people at the bar or one of the women involved in the road rage incident could have followed her. This is unlikely, however, as Ryan's apartment building was secured and required an access code to enter. The person would have to have followed a resident into the building like Prisma did, and there does not appear to be any footage or evidence of this. However, cameras were not operational at all entry and exit points. Prisma was clearly impaired and may have used the stairs going out from the garage, stumbling onto the street, in which she may have been mugged or kidnapped by an opportunistic stranger. CCTV footage does not cover all exits in the garage, with some cameras not operating at the time. It is also possible that someone in the building saw the state that Prisma was in and offered her a ride back to her home, but kidnapped her instead. The police have said that if she rode with someone in the building, the cameras would not have been able to pick it up.
Prisma could have simply gotten in the car with somebody that she didn't know, took a ride out, and we wouldn't see that on camera.
Prisma had a lot of male friends. The friend from the bar run-in could also be a possible suspect. Was this friend Alberto, the man she was having the affair with, or someone else? Prisma received 2 calls from unidentified numbers on the day of her disappearance. Is it possible that this man may have been calling her on a burner phone? Police combed through 3 hours of footage of Prisma at the E-bar and did not see anyone spike her drink. However, this does not mean her drink was not spiked, as the footage did not capture the entire time that she was there. There are anecdotal accounts of women having had their drinks spiked at bars in the Dallas area.
The women said a bartender gave them free shots of alcohol. Both complained they began feeling inebriated and sick after just a few drinks and had to call friends to come pick them up. They said they went to the hospital for a toxicology report that showed amphetamines in their system.
Hispanic women similar to Prisma's description were reported missing from the Dallas area around the same time of Prisma's disappearance. Dallas is a major hub for sex trafficking, and it is not uncommon for women to disappear. It is possible that someone had spiked Prisma's drink, then followed her and waited for her to exit the garage at Ryan's apartment building. This is most likely someone that Prisma knew, as she was seen on the phone and then suddenly disappears from the camera's view. Another strange detail is that Prisma's stepfather, Dan, started receiving calls about a year and a half after Prisma's disappearance from a range of unidentified numbers in Puebla, Mexico. Puebla is a known human trafficking corridor into Veracruz, renowned for high rates of violent crime and murder. Dan told the police about the calls, which occurred over a period of a few weeks and then suddenly stopped. During the calls, nobody spoke, and Dan would hear background noises like doors opening or closing, and then the phone call would suddenly end. Was Prisma trying to contact him?
I was getting phone calls from a town in Mexico, south of Mexico City. And it started, they were 7:30 at night. Nobody was saying nothing. And I said her name, and I said her middle name. And then I spoke them in English. I spoke them in Spanish. And then I went by her stage name, and just dead silence. They would be on the phone for a minute. I could hear something in the background, and all of a sudden the phone would hang up. Sometimes they would call 8, 9, 10 times in a row. So this is different than those scammers. I don't know what these calls are. I've got the phone number and everything. But the problem is with phones in Mexico, they're prepaid, and there's no real records of who has the phone number. Because if you need a phone, you can get down to the store and buy a burner phone and buy a phone card. There you go. And it went on for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And looking at when I pulled up the town where it was at, I was looking around the area right there, and it's kind of a cartel stronghold right in that area on the south side of Mexico City. And she doesn't have no family that lives there.
Why did Prisma make several detours whilst driving to Ryan's apartment? Who called Prisma at 1:28 p.m. and 5:05 p.m.? Why would Prisma suddenly turn up to Ryan's apartment when he wasn't there, and what prompted her to do so? Was she upset from her lunch with Ryan? Or was it something more sinister? Why was Prisma waiting beside a silver car with the boot popped open? She didn't know who the car belonged to, therefore did someone tell her to wait there? Why did Prisma speak to the babysitter Maria for 52 minutes? Typically, when Prisma has spoken with Maria, it was usually for 10 minutes or so, and that's it. When asked about the details of the conversation with Prisma, Maria said that it was just a general conversation about how Prisma was and did not elaborate. If this is the case, then why did Maria call 911 instead of Prisma's family when Prisma failed to pick up her son at 7:30 p.m.? If someone is a couple of hours late, wouldn't you call their emergency contacts first before calling the police? It is possible that Maria may have known that Prisma was in trouble from their conversation earlier that day, but refuses to disclose the details out of fear for her safety. Ryan could have easily given his access code to someone and arranged for them to take Prisma. Considering Ryan's proclivity towards violence, it is difficult to overlook him as a suspect. However, the evidence and logic do not support this assumption. Did Ryan meet Prisma to rekindle their relationship, even though he was already seeing other women? Or did he have another agenda? Why did Ryan give the alias Matt when he made the booking at the E-Bar restaurant with Prisma? Why would Ryan arrange for someone to kidnap Prisma at his apartment building, knowing that it would result in the police focusing on him as a suspect? Why would Ryan hire someone to kidnap Prisma where he lives, knowing that there are security cameras throughout the building? Why did he move from his apartment only weeks after Prisma went missing? Is it possible that Alfredo, the married man that Prisma was having an affair with, had something to do with her disappearance? Did he have connections to Puebla, Mexico that would facilitate a kidnapping? It is highly probable that Prisma would have told Alfredo about her ex-boyfriend Ryan. That provided him with a convenient suspect to pin her disappearance on. But how would Alfredo have known that Ryan would not be at the apartment building when she arrived? How would he have known where the CCTV cameras were throughout the building? Alfredo's wife had a clear reason to hurt Prisma, but how could she have known about Ryan? It is very unlikely that Alfredo told his wife about the ex-boyfriend of the woman he was having an affair with. So how could she have arranged a kidnapping at the residence of a person she didn't even know? One thing about Prisma's disappearance is obvious. Prisma was in danger for some reason and knew it. The stalking, the change of jobs, along with the uncharacteristic behavior on the day of her disappearance, suggests that she was involved with some nefarious characters that led to foul play. The question is, who is responsible and why haven't police been able to arrest them, given the CCTV footage and digital data available? Prisma's case remains open. Anyone with information related to Prisma's disappearance is urged to contact the Mesquite Police Department at 972-285-6336